All right, guys, how's it going? So finally, I found a few minutes to talk about something other than Thubermendi. We're going to talk about Virgil van Dijk and his comments yesterday regarding there being no formal contract offer to him yet, um, which I think is very alarming, to be honest with you. I know the first thing that you want to do is lash out and criticise the owners, but we have people running Liverpool Football Club. We've even got someone above Liverpool Football Club now in Edwards as FSG Football overseeing Liverpool Football Club. There's all these different appointments and this new structure in place, yet nothing's getting fucking done. So, like, what? Do you know what I mean? It makes you very angry that them fuckers in Boston don't even probably know what's going on. So this game of like letting things drag out because you think it's going to help with negotiations. It's just, this is your Liverpool captain you're talking about here, guys. And I think that they become complacent. Complacency is something that's been around the club for a long time under FSG, I think. I think Liverpool can win a trophy, and it's like, we won a trophy with that squad. We don't need to do any more. We even had Arne Slot saying, if you think back to one of his earlier press conferences this summer, as saying, when he was answering a question about can this squad win the league, he pointed back to how good the squad was last year, how it did compete. I think he said something about, look how good it was until the last 6 of the weeks of the season, but therefore it wasn't good enough then, was it? Because we didn't win the fucking league. So he's already fallen into that mentality. And complacency at Liverpool, like Man City go out and win the league, and the next day they'll spunk 50 million, 60 million on a defender or something. Liverpool just notoriously are just complacent. And I think it's complacency with some of the contract situations at the club. I think they think, well, they won't go anywhere. They want to stay here kind of thing. And if they do, someone will have to pay them, won't they? And it's a bad way to operate, I think, because people are saying now, like, well, if Mo doesn't sign a new deal, sell him. Why would Mo Salah agree to a sale now when he's out of contract next year? Why would his agent, endorse that? You'd say, well, fuck him. You're going to leave on a free or whatever. So it's very strange, the contractual situations. They are masters of breaking news and the time to add news. So let's, for example, say all of this Thubermendi stuff falls through and nothing really happens this summer. You can expect contract announcements on the 31st of August, the 1st, the 2nd, 3rd of September. That's the kind of way they leave you thinking. But I want you to look at some of the comments that Virgil van Dijk said. I've got all of them here in front of me, and I don't want to read them all out to you. We'll be here all day. He's obviously talking about the need to strengthen the squad, etc. He talks about last season and how they fell short for the full campaign. If you can hear a noise in the background, it's my rescue dog scratching himself. But it's interesting that he says, I have ambitions. I have ambitions. We all have ambitions. We all want to achieve the best that we can, participate in every competition to win it. And it's impossible to do that. It's almost impossible to do that, to win everything or whatever. We want to improve and win games, so we need everyone at their best. What I'm picking from his comments are, he did say that he was quite emotional after the Euros and things like that. And if you remember, he wanted to evaluate everything. You've got a new manager, head coach, you know what I mean? Don't be fucking pedantic with me. So you want to see how that's going to go out, how that's going to pan out, a change. If I was, you got to put yourself in their position. If you were a player, if I was a player, I'd be thinking, I'm not sure I want to commit until I see what this new gaffer, what's it going to be like under him. Same with the new, owners. If you had new owners, wishful thinking. You want to, you'd be thinking, let's just see how things go. But you've got to understand that if we, as supporters, frustrated sometimes when we think, this squad really hasn't got the depth and that. What are the players thinking as well? What's Virgil van Dijk thinking? This is why he's talking about player transfers and about the need to improve. And I think towards the end we were lacking that experience and lacking that quality. Some of the things he said about last year. Um, I have ambitions. We all have ambitions. In other words, he wants to be a winner. So how would you feel? Like if you're Trent Alexander-Arnold and you're going into a new city, you'd watch what happens in the summer window, wouldn't you? And you'd be like, has this club got real intent, or are they just happy to finish fourth or third, second? You know what I mean? And we looked on here recently. We examined the finances of the difference between finishing first, second, third, and fourth, not just in terms of Premier League prize money, but how that affects financial deals, marketing, sponsorships, and everything. And there's not a lot in it if you look into it. So if you finish second, third, fourth, and it's not a massive gap, much lower money than winning it, you have to look at that and think, is it worth spending more money to get the first place? Because no, you're eating into your profits. So I am firmly of the opinion that FSG are happy to be a top four club. That's it. If they win the league, great. But they haven't got the intent to win the league. They just want to qualify for the Champions League, right? And if I think that as a nobody at the bottom of the tree, just a football fan, what are the players thinking that? And it must affect your mind. He even talks in here somewhere about it's not just what happens on the pitch, it's about mentally. He does say this within these quotes. You have to be really focused and work for that. But it does say somewhere in here, it is much more than playing the games. It is how you deal with it outside the games. And the mental part is very important, and it is not easy. So I think here, with Virgil van Dijk, you've got a player that is kind of alluding, and I mean, maybe it's unfair for me to say this, but it's kind of alluding like, I want to be a winner, we have to be better, we have to get the best players, and I'm sure that, I think the club are trying to do that right now. But this is your captain speaking, so, and this is a captain that isn't got, as far as we're aware, people falling over him and telling him how important it is. He's talking about the mental side of it. And you've only got to think back to when Steven Gerrard nearly went to Chelsea. And do you remember what he said? I didn't feel loved. I didn't feel loved. And look how dangerous that was. Losing Virgil van Dijk would be a big blow. And I don't think we're going to lose Virgil van Dijk. But whether you're FSG in or FSG out, a top red or an FSG out person, if you need to be in a camp, I don't put myself in either camp, to be honest. I can take a bit from each side. But whoever you are, this club is not being run as it should be, guys, in that thing, in that way. The focus is on, when it comes to marketing and making money, fucking hell, they've got all the geniuses in the world. And we've seen how much better they have done, since FSG come in with the marketing and everything. But I'm not sure I can ever turn around to you and say that during all those improvements and ground improvements and everything, I've never, ever, ever in all their time been able to turn around and say, well, we wouldn't have been able to sign that player if it wasn't for them marketing deals or that deal with Dunkin' Donuts. Do you know what I mean? Well, we signed those two players because of that. I don't see any uptick on the squad as I did in the 80s or 90s. If anything, before, Liverpool used to go out and get things done and buy the very best players that everybody wanted. So my point here is, they've got all the focus on improving the finances, but I'm not convinced that I've ever seen an extra player signed because of it. What I'm seeing is that FSG focus on things that improve their brand and valuation. That's what I see. Anything that improves their asset financially, they seem to be great at. But when it comes to the team, they're not like us. They haven't got winning mentality. Of course they want to win the league, but they're not going to spend, 60 million, 100 million, 150 million more if the return on that doesn't cover that expenditure. Do you get my point? So Liverpool under FSG are a club that are a club that are happy to just sustain Champions League qualification. And if we have that opinion, if that makes us drop our red sometimes, how must it be if you're a player? So, the Virgil van Dijk situation, out of all of the players, whether he's your favourite out of, maybe you prefer Mo Salah, or whether you think Trent Alexander-Arnold, hello son, is the future, more of the future because he's a younger player. What you have to think here is, hang on a minute, this is our fucking skipper. You know, and what's kind of a signal or sign are you sending out to people, to the other players? You know, he should be signed up straight away. None of these players should be allowed to have their contracts run down into the last 2 years, because you're just giving people like Remy, my dog's called Remy, Remy Abbas, Rami Abbas, what's his name? Rami Abbas. You're just giving people like him more power, because the last time he negotiated a contract for Mo Salah, he allegedly said to Liverpool, don't think you can run his contract down to the last year and then sell him, because we'll just dig in, right? So if he said that last time, what's he going to say this time, knowing that they can leave on a free next year? So it's a very, very difficult situation. But FSG are masters of spin, right, and masters of PR. And I guarantee you this, if we have, a shit transfer window, if it concludes as a shit transfer window, and, hey, do you mind rubbing your fucking head on my settee? If they have a shit window or the fans are in uproar, I guarantee you they will put emphasis in extending them contracts then. Do you know what I'm saying? Because then they'll want to get that news out to you like a new signing. We all know this, you know. So it's a shit show, really. It really is. Those three players should all be tied down. You know, if a player wants to leave, there's nothing the club can do about it. Maybe Liverpool tried to speak to Virgil van Dijk. He said he wanted time, if you remember, after the Euros. But why was it not sorted before the fucking Euros anyway? You know, because at the end of the day, if a player's going to dick you around like Michael Owen did many years ago, you know, you just got to turn around and say, well, all right, well, you're going on market then. That's the whole point of having not allowing that 2-year window, because during them 2 years, that last year, you can't sell. It's impossible. Mo Salah's never in a million years going to turn around and say, yeah, all right, then, sell me to Saudi, then I'll let you have the money instead. It's just not going to happen. So this is why you need to have that 2-year... have you got fleas or something? That 2-year, you know, leeway. Because the longer you go into it, the less power you have. So, if anything, the contract should have been resolved ages ago so that Arne Slot went into this season without that over his head. Because what will happen, guys, is if we don't hear anything, the longer it drags on, the more speculation you see. And the more disruption that creates to the manager of questions of, you know, press conferences. Oh, are you worried about losing him in January? You know, because what will happen is you'll get to, if Trent Alexander-Arnold hasn't had a contract extension announced, then I guarantee you in November you'll start seeing the Real Madrid links. And if you're Real Madrid, what are you doing now? They're not trying to sign him now. There's no suggestion of that. If you want to believe them Twitter twats, that's up to you. But there's no suggestion of that, because if you're Real Madrid, what are you thinking? You'd be communicating to his camp, come here. You'd be communicating to his camp, don't sign a deal. If you sign a deal, the chances of you coming to us, gone. Don't sign a deal, drag it out, because we could get you on a free next year. So, and what's it doing? What is this situation doing? It's creating speculation amongst all of us right now. I'm only speculating, right? But it's creating speculation. And that means that we're doing it between friends talking here, right? But imagine when the newspapers and all the media start it and all start shit stirring after the window's closed. So the period between the window closing August 30th and the end of the year is paramount. And don't forget, you know, when a player's contract is nearly up, they can negotiate new deals from January. So it's worrying, and it's bad management by this club. What they're going to do, blame Boy George, fucking George Schmacker, and say it's his fault. You know, but he was fucking thrown at the bus anyway. Do you know what I mean? He was only brought in to trigger contract releases, let's be honest. And you had people like James Pearce at the Echo fucking oozing, and, you know, gushing over him, how amazing he was and that. You know what I mean? It's a shambles, guys. It really is a shambles. And I'm not using this as an opportunity to lash out at the owners. My views are, you know, whether you agree with my views or not about the owners, my views are consistent regarding them. You know, they could win the league this year and I'd still say the same thing. And I have in the past. I'm not just like, you know, there'll be people that don't like them that'll be using this to lash out at them, but I'm not. It's just frustrating. It's trying to do things on the cheap all the time. And it's just been just existing. Liverpool Football Club just exists under them. That's what I think. And it's sad. It's sad because Virgil van Dijk's my captain. And I would like to have gone into this summer with a new deal all wrapped up. And again, Any player shouldn't be allowed to run his contract down within 2 years. Mo Salah's situation might be a little bit different. But if he's going to fuck off, fuck him too. Do you know what I mean? Actually, you know what I mean? You can't turn around now to Remy Abbas, can you? And say, we're going to sell him. Because they're never going to allow it. They won't agree to it. Unless there's something in it for them somewhere along the line. So you've lost your power. You've lost negotiating power. And it's very strange. With Virgil van Dijk, I do wonder if the ownership might have approached, the people that run the club might have approached at some point and said, you know, let's have a sit down. And he said, well, now I want to think about things a bit. I'm not, you know, I'm emotionally not ready or whatever after the Euros and that. Because he's emphasised that a few points. But think back to my video, was it last week? About Firmino, when he said when he was trying to extend a contract, didn't hear from them. You won't hear from them. Not 1 week had passed, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. Me and my agent waiting to hear something. Nothing. So it makes you think the same thing's happening. And I can't get my head around it. And I will try and think about it. But mark my words, if something goes wrong, there'll be urgency then, because they'll need you on side. If you appreciate this video, please thumbs up the video. If you want to buy me a coffee or a beer, you can use the super thanks button. In the video description, there are other ways to support me as well if you don't want to use YouTube. And if you have a comment on any of this, guys, I would really appreciate your thoughts. Okay, don't forget I will be live on here at 2 o'clock this afternoon and 7 o'clock this evening. If you can only make one of the streams, I would make the evening one, because maybe we'll have a little bit more to talk about. All right, guys, take care, and I'll speak to you real soon.